What is up, everyone? Welcome back to SoReal Sessions. We are on my series 10 to 28, and this is episode number 3. This may be the final episode because honestly, I was going through everything and I'm like, well, this is kind of the end of this portion, and I believe I'm going to move on to some other stuff now. So we'll see how it goes, but for right now, this may be the end of this series. I want to thank everyone who has taken the time to listen to my last episode, and if you haven't seen it, go and check it out. I've gotten some really good feedback on it, and that one was probably the hardest one that I had to record just because of how raw and real it was. But now I want to take you on to a whole nother journey and a whole nother portion of my life. The reason for me sharing my testimony isn't because I wanted people to feel sorry for me or anything of that nature, but I feel that some people see who I am now and they see this person, but they don't understand that there is a story, that there's scars, that there's so much behind who I am and what made me who I am now. And on the flip side, I feel like there's so many people out there who know me by a certain reputation that was built, but never gotten the time to see the new me, or even had the opportunity to even get a chance to get to know me. So it kind of clears things up from one side, and then also provides a deeper understanding. If you haven't seen, I will be performing at Rhetoric 2019. Woo woo, I'm so happy about that. I have waited so long to do this. As I was thinking about it, the poem that I'm going to do, it's a part of my testimony. So it's actually pretty dope if you listen to this podcast or this vlog and you hear that poem, because you kind of get more of where I'm coming from with it. So if you haven't seen it, go see it. Also, if you're available August 2nd at 7 p.m., I believe doors open at 5. But if you are out in the Los Angeles area, you need to come out to this event with P4CM called Rhetoric. If you go search for P, the number 4, CM, or if you look on their website, p4cn.com, and see Rhetoric, buy your ticket and come out and have a good night. It's full of poetry, entertainment. It's an amazing event. And like I said, I will be performing, which is huge. One of basically a dream come true, to be honest. And if you're out there, come say what's up. Come say hi, take a picture, whatever. And yeah, so that was a sidetrack. But really, what made me start to change, I don't really know what it was. Usually something bad happens or people reach a certain rock bottom, that they get an epiphany, or they decide that they want to change because something happened. But that wasn't the case for me, because a lot was already happening, and no matter how bad things got, I wasn't changing. And for some reason, when I was 15 and a half, when I decided to end that relationship with my boyfriend at the time, something in me just started to change. I really wish I knew a moment or can say something happened, but I really don't. I was doing bad for a long time. Like I said, I was running away a lot. I was getting suspended from school all the time. I got expelled from school in 8th grade. I went to probation school in 9th grade. I was ditching every day in high school, 10th grade, going to smoke weed. I was getting straight F's. I was just really bad. And I didn't really care So my life was just spiraling. I was in SOS all the time. Securities knew me by name. I was just really bad. And just out of nowhere, I just wanted to do better. I wanted to be better. And I remember in junior year, um, in 11th grade, I had the first semester, and I was like, you know what? I want to try to do better. And I started trying to put in more effort in class, and I told my dad that there's a school called RX Paris that I can go to catch up on my credits, because I was basically behind a lot. And he agreed for me to go to that school. When I went to RX Paris, I just started doing better. Like, I was catching up really fast on my work, and I was putting in effort, and I was striving just to become an overall better person. I started thinking more positive, and I still dealt with insecurities, and I still dealt with suicidal thoughts, but I at least was putting in effort to do better. And so I was, really hustling to get my credits up. I started working at 16, and I was working 2 jobs at the time, and things were going great. I was with my best friend Angela, and we would go to the mall all the time, and both of us wanted to be a model, and we would just spend so much time together. She was my best friend for a long period of time, so we actually went through a lot of hard times together. We met when we were 12, and we were just inseparable. Like, we would spend every day with each other, we'd be on the phone with each other all the time, and she was my partner in crime. And we used to go to the mall to go buy shoes because we worked together, so we would buy some heels every time that we got paid. We both went to RX Paris for a period of time as well, and we both were just like encouraging each other. So we both went from being bad as heck together to starting to want to change our lives together. Just a lot of my bad memories is with her, and we had a lot of fun. It was fun while it lasted, but she was just my partner in crime. And one day we went to the mall, and we actually got saved. A young man came to us and asked us, if we wanted to know Christ and all this stuff. And we got saved on April 8th. I don't remember the year. That was when I was 16, but we got saved, and we both just started to go deeper into Christ. What we said was, we called each other's partners in crime before, and then we became partners in Christ. That's a little inside joke that we have. But when I got saved, I felt a lot of hope, and I felt like it was already along the path that I was already on. And I was just really striving to do better. And when I was working at Six Flags, I ended up meeting my daughter's father. And I was saved, but when you get saved, it's not like, oh, my life is so holy, like I'm pure. Obviously, whatever it is that you dealt with, you still dealt with. And at the time, I still was smoking, I still was drinking. And when I met Anaya's dad, he was on the same tip, so we connected on that level. And for the first time, I was practicing celibacy at the time. And me and him got together. We started dating. 3 months into dating, we ended up having sex. And the first time that we had sex, I got pregnant. It was on May 30th, 2008. I remember, because it's crazy. I was walking down the street, and I was going to see him. And I had this like vision of me on a couch, and God says, if you sleep with him, you're going to get pregnant. And I thought it was just like, well, I didn't know it was God speaking to me. I thought it was just, something happening, or me having some type of vision, or even me speaking to myself. And literally, that's exactly how it happened. I got pregnant. Like, the condom broke, and I ended up getting pregnant the first time that we had sex on May 30th, 2008. And I found out a month later. I already knew. Like, as soon as it happened, I was like, I'm pregnant. I already knew it. Like, as soon as everything finished. And a lot of people change because they have a child. But the change that I was having was even before I had her. When I found out that I was pregnant, I told my parents. My mom was the first one that I told. And the first thing she said was, I hope it's a girl. And mind you, I had an abortion when I was 14. So 2 years later, I ended up getting pregnant. And when I had my daughter, when I found out that I was pregnant, her dad was 18 at the time. I was 16. And he seemed like he was excited, but he also seemed like, dang, like, what am I getting myself into? And I remember things got, like, really hard between us right after that. And I was like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this alone? How am I going to be a single mom? How am I going to take care of my daughter? And I contemplated getting an abortion. And I remember telling myself when I had my first abortion that if I were to get pregnant again, I wouldn't have an abortion because of the way that I felt and how it made me feel. And I told myself, it's, you laid down on your back and had a baby, so you can take care of the baby. So I didn't end up having an abortion, thankfully. But I remember those thoughts coming into my head. And from there, I just continued on doing my best to be the best that I can be. After my daughter was... So, while I was pregnant, I still was going to school trying to catch up on my credits because I wasn't going to graduate in time. But I really worked really hard. And 3 months before I was going to graduate, I had my daughter. So I couldn't graduate on time. And our experience, you can only be there until you're 18. So I had my daughter, and I wasn't able to go back to art experience because 3 months later I became 18. And wait, 17. No, that's not right. So I was studying really hard, and then 3 months later, after I had my daughter, is when I was supposed to graduate. But for the first 6 months, I made sure I was there taking care of my daughter, to breastfeed her and all the stuff that I needed to do. But as soon as she became 6 months, I started just hustling and going back to school. I ended up at this school called Youth Build, which is like an adult school. It's like ages 16 to 24. And that school was such a blessing. I met some really amazing people there. And Olivia, which is one of the main people at that school, she helped me through a lot. I remember when I didn't have money for diapers and we were doing this workers program, and she was like, here, like, take some money for diapers. And yeah, from then I just constantly did what I could to move forward, I had the progressive mindset to become better and to do better. So now being 28, it's as if who I was before didn't exist, because the comparison of the two is like night and day. But I can see why. I can see why God allowed me to go through all of that, because I wouldn't have a story to tell. I wouldn't be able to empathize with those who go through hard times, or who deal with depression, or who deal with suicidal thoughts. Who are pregnant in their teen years. I wouldn't be able to relate to those who've had an abortion and regretted it. I wouldn't be able to relate to those who've been in abusive relationships. There's a lot I wouldn't be able to relate to firsthand if I wouldn't have gone through the stuff that I've gone through. So really, it all happens for a reason. It all comes back full circle. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we have to realize and understand, is that everything that we go through, even now, like with me going through the hardships that I go through now, as those who know that last year I almost lost my life due to cosmetic surgery and catching an infection from it. Even stuff now, I go through things differently because I know that there is a reason behind it. And that's one of the biggest things. That's one of the biggest things that we have to understand, because in our mind will trick us into thinking that it will cripple us. Our mind will cripple us in thoughts of negativity. It will keep us in a victim's mindset, to where we are not able to see the beauty of our trials. And yes, life gets hard. Life gets hectic. A lot of things are just unfair. But if you take whatever you've gone through and use it to help somebody else, you will see the purpose behind all of it. And it's never too late to turn your life around. Whether it be something that you hit rock bottom and have to scratch your way back up, or maybe nothing has to happen, but you just realize that you need to do better. Don't be afraid, and don't think it's too late for you to do that, because it's not. And it's going to take work, and it's going to take time, but it's something that you have to constantly work towards and keep striving to. Like I said, I haven't reached the point in my life where everything is just A1, but I have hit that point where no matter how hard it gets, I know that it can't break me. It's not, like I said, it's not something that happened overnight. Yeah, 10 years old is when I first had the thoughts of suicide, but 27 is the last time that I cut myself. So that's 17 years later, even with me being positive, and even with me being encouraging, or trying my best to encourage other people, I'm not perfect. Nor do I think God will ever allow me to be perfect. I don't think we will reach perfection until we reach the gates. But what I can say is that I will never stop trying to become a better person. I will never give up on myself. And that's important for everyone to remind themselves, is to never give up, no matter how hard it is. There's always a way out. There's always another way to do things. Don't think just because you tried one way and that way didn't work that you have to stop, or that you have to give up. Some things are not meant for right now. But just because something is delayed doesn't mean it's not destined. And when God is creating something and putting you through the fire, it really is to refine you and not to hurt you, even though the pain, you may feel the pain. So being 28 and going through my life from 10 to being 28, it's been a journey. And I know my story doesn't end here. And I know there will always be something I can add. But for now, I want to thank those who have been listening. And I want you to stay tuned for some more series to come. The next series is going to be a love series. That one I'm extremely excited about, and I feel like I have so much to talk about when it comes to that and when it comes to relationships. So stay tuned for the next series. Until then, make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, and yeah, much love to all of you.